1945. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want to take you back in time 75 years ago, a time when America was a totally different place in which to live and work. High above, the interstate cadet flown by Cornelia Fort was out doing flight training on that bright sunny Sunday morning. They were just starting to wave the flag above the United States battleship, the Arizona. The Nevada was getting the steam up, starting to head towards the outlet going out into the Pacific. When suddenly and without warning, at 7:55 in the morning, 183 aircraft from the Kaga, Hiryu, Soryu, Shokaku, and Suikaku, under the command of Admiral Nomuro, suddenly and deliberately attacked America's island base at Pearl Harbor. The date, December the 7th, 1941. You are there. The Mitsubishi A6M0, the Nakajima B5N Kate, and the Aichi D3A dive bomber. 183 aircraft from the Imperial Japanese Fleet, 250 miles to the north of the island of Oahu. Suddenly and without warning, our American base at Pearl Harbor, Haleiwa, Hickam, Bellows were all under attack. High above, the Aichi D3A dive bomber, a 500-pound bomb between the wheel wells, comes down on the battleship Arizona, releasing that bomb. It goes through the foredeck right in front of the number 2 gun emplacement. That great ship exploded with such force. She took over 1,100 American sailors to a watery grave. They sleep there today. The Mitsubishi A6M0, the fastest aircraft in the Pacific Fleet, being chased by a P-40 Warhawk. Lieutenants Ken Taylor and George Welch managed to get their 2 airplanes off of Haleiwa when they realized that the Japanese had invaded Pearl Harbor. The problem was they only had 30 caliber guns in the wings because all of the 50 caliber stuff for the nose guns was at Hickam Field. A young Army corporal walking the field in front of Hickam Field where they had all of the aircraft parked just like the Blue Angels are today. He said, "Ken, I could see the whites of their eyes." He was a Pearl Harbor survivor. 2,400 perished at Pearl Harbor that morning. Between Taylor and Welch, they managed to shoot down 5 of the aircraft. Lieutenant Ken Taylor went on to be a general in the United States Air Force. Lieutenant George Welch died in 1952 testing an aircraft. The Mitsubishi A6M0, very fast, long-legged airplane, had lots of fuel. Its downside was it didn't have any protection for the fighter. The Nakajima B5N Kate, coming in from your right. This aircraft carried 3 men. It had a torpedo between the wheel wells. As they came down right across the top of the water, one of them dropped the first one, then 2, then 3 of these torpedoes into the side of the battleship, the Oklahoma. This great ship rolled over, and she took 400 young American sailors to a watery grave that December the 7th morning, 1941. For over 2.5 hours, this battle continued. America was not prepared for what happened that December the 7th morning in 1941. But it didn't take very long for the young men who were based at Pearl Harbor to get their guns out, to get their anti-aircraft equipment moving to where they started fighting it back. And indeed, there was a B-17 flight coming in from the United States. A lot of them had to fight against the attack that was going up against their airplanes on that morning. The United States battleship, the Nevada, the only one that had steam up in the boilers that morning, was able to get up and get moving, started heading towards the outlet going out into the Pacific Ocean. But as you can well imagine, the invading forces were all over it like bees on a honeypot. Their commanding officer had to beach that great ship up on Hospital Point to keep it from blocking the entrance into Pearl Harbor, keeping us from getting out trying to find the Japanese Imperial First Fleet. Listen to our President Franklin Delano Roosevelt as he goes before Congress the next morning.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian Islands has caused severe damage to American naval and military forces. I regret to tell you that very many American lives have been lost. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the commander that had this battle put together, was told, "We completely surprised the American forces. Our battle was very successful." He said, "I fear we have done nothing more than to awaken a sleeping giant and filled him with a great resolve." And that's exactly what happened. That sleeping giant was young men and women in America. Moms and dads started putting together gardens where they could feed themselves while all of the food was going to our troops all over the world. Imagine an 8 or 9-year-old boy pulling his wagon through the neighborhood, picking up aluminum and scrap metal and cans, all of the stuff that could be recycled into the bombs and bullets and guns and jeeps and tanks, everything that our young men and women needed as they went throughout the world fighting against the Axis powers following December the 7th, 1941.